Hey everyone, me Kevin here. The government's funding expires tonight at 12:01 Eastern Time. That's Saturday morning, meaning we just have hours to get something done before the government shuts down. To keep the pressure up on negotiations for the omnibus package to fund the government and the stimulus package which will ride with that, some lawmakers are saying they will not, and that they refuse to vote for a 24 to 48 hour extension to just keep the government funded for 2 days. Instead, let the government shut down and bring in the brinksmanship, which actually oftentimes does tend to get deals done, but it's kind of sad that it has to operate that way. Josh Hawley just brought a demand to the floor of the Senate to vote on $1,200 stimulus checks. However, at the time of this recording, Ron Johnson is presently speaking and he is objecting, saying that we are mortgaging our children's future to pay for larger checks now. Economists disagree with Ron Johnson, but we know there is a large Republican contingent that believes this is true. Economists argue that the economy will grow slower without more stimulus funding. By leaving people hurting today without providing the proper relief we need today, the actual proper funding, not a slap in the face stimulus check, we hurt the economy's ability to grow in the future. And that makes it harder for us to pay off our debts. If we had a faster growing economy, adding a little bit more to the debt right now wouldn't matter as much. Josh Hawley's $1,200 stimulus check standalone bill is not expected to receive a vote. By the way, the public still has not received the 600-page stimulus bill that was supposed to be released Monday, then Tuesday, then Wednesday, then Thursday. It is now Friday, and we are at the deadline, and we still do not have a copy of the 600-page bill. McConnell said this morning that he's optimistic, and that he's more optimistic than he was last night, which last night he said we were at the 1-yard line. We do know now, though, what is holding up the remaining negotiation, which I'm going to break that down in just a moment. I do just quickly want to say thank you to all of those of you who emailed me for a bundle coupon code for the courses on building your wealth through real estate or stocks or even making YouTube videos. I woke up this morning with like over 140 emails, so after I post this video, I will be going through my emails, and I'm sorry for the delay. Okay, moving on, which if you want a bundle code, you could always use the regular code down below or email me at kevin@meetkevin.com for a bundle. All right, so John Thune says we need the right pressure to get this done, and that's potentially why we're seeing these delays in terms of just letting the government shut down. Chuck Schumer is not as optimistic. He says the remaining hurdles are going to be difficult to overcome. President Trump, we know, is eager to get a deal done. Yesterday, we heard he pushed for $2,000 stimulus checks and $1,200 stimulus checks, but his aides told him, no, don't go for that. That's just going to blow up negotiations. So Trump backed down and didn't mention anything about stimulus checks. Now, though, everything is stuck on a provision that would prevent the Treasury Department from working with Joe Biden from reactivating the expired 5 CARES Act programs, or the programs that will expire on December 31st. Pat Toomey is taking charge of this. Pat Toomey is a Republican senator, and his amendment bans the creation of, quote, any similar program, which Democrats say is way too broad. It's not fair. You can't go in and preemptively hamstring the Democratic leadership in the event that we have a recession in Q1, which we're kind of expecting. You need to be able to give Biden and Janet Yellen at the Treasury as the Treasury Secretary and the Federal Reserve the power to be able to reinstitute these programs if we need them. Toomey says, no, this is very important to me. There's very broad support from Republican senators for this approach to basically say this is a bright red line. That was his quote. This is a bright red line. We do not want these programs or any similar programs reopened again. Now, part of that is because Republicans say, hey, we're using like $500 billion, $454 billion from these expired CARES Act programs to fund the current stimulus package. So we can't fund the current stimulus package, shut down the programs for a week, and then just reopen them because then we're in the hole again another $500 billion. We don't want to do that. If we need to do that, come back to Congress and then we could decide to do that. That's what Republicans are saying. Democrats are saying, no, we just need the option. Just leave the option there. Jerome Powell has repeatedly said that these programs were meant to be temporary, to prop up credit markets, and that job has mostly been done. In fact, to really just kind of put the nail in the coffin on these programs, I think the easiest thing to do is literally to just look at what Jerome Powell said about these programs on November 30th. Here's his letter. He says that the Municipal Liquidity Facility, fancy words, but this program, this is how much use it had. Out of this program, 2 municipalities use the municipal lending facility to basically get a loan for state and local governments. Only 2 places used it. and only $1.7 billion out of $500 billion available was used, 0.2%. Let's go to the next one, because there are 5 programs. That's program number 1. Main Street Lending Program. There was $600 billion available for this program for small to medium-sized businesses. Only $6 billion were used. That's 1%. Okay, then you've got the next one, the Secondary Market Corporate Credit Facility, basically bailing out corporations by buying their bonds, right? This had $75 billion available, and they only used $13.6 billion. In other words, 18%. That's the largest one of use. The Primary Market Corporate Credit Facility had $0 used, and the Term Asset-Backed Securities Loan Facility for like student loans and credit cards and that had $3.8 billion used out of $100 billion, so 3.8%. So Democrats are literally fighting right now over these 5 programs that when they existed, nobody was freaking using. They were worthless. I mean, just to give you an example here of how worthless these programs were, the Main Street Lending Program was designed to be a program that would say, hey, if you're a small and medium-sized business under 15,000 employees, we will give you an emergency loan as long as you say you have no plans to go bankrupt within 90 days. And I was looking at that like, oh my gosh, Dave & Buster's could apply for this, and that'd be great because then they don't have to use nosebleed interest rate loans for like 10 to 11 to 13% on the open market. The Fed's program's only like 1.9%, or I think it's as high as 3.5%, somewhere around there. Except the problem is, in order to qualify for that business loan, the business has to prove that they have cash flows and that they're going to be able to repay the loan. But wait a minute. How is a business that's on the verge of bankruptcy going to be able to prove that they're going to be able to repay these loans? So a lot of these loans were crap. Like, that's why the uptake was so low. They were stupid loans. These programs sucked. Now, the New York Times says, but it's not, it's not fair that these programs were being shut down because the language is too broad. You're basically cutting off Biden from being able to do his job. So expect CNN to go, hey, the Republicans are trying to cut off Biden. And expect, Fox News and the Republicans to basically go, the Democrats are trying to say, hey, we could use this $5 billion twice. The $500 billion, that is. So really, in my opinion, you have this ridiculous fight over something that doesn't matter. And that fight comes in addition to, are people going to be able to double dip for stimulus checks and unemployment? Which honestly, that phrase alone that Republicans said is totally offensive. Like, it's not somebody's fault that they're unemployed and now it's like, no double dipping into the salsa. Like, no, but yeah, that is still an issue, is this potential double dipping, that if you were on unemployment, you might not be able to get a stimulus check. The length of the unemployment, still an issue. We still have problems here. The small business funding keeps going up, but every time the small business funding goes up, the money for the SNAP program goes down. They already cut this program in half. They just want to give people getting SNAP food benefits 15% for 4 months, but now they're arguing over, well, who's going to be eligible for it? They don't even know if we're going to get the extension of the eviction ban, which is ridiculous. Still fighting over the $17 billion to live venue operators. Still fighting over the FEMA funding. And so we've really got these endless issues here that right now do not seem to be going anywhere. This is just some more detail on what the heck is going on. Donald Trump is also expected to issue some pardons today. He actually called a meeting in the White House Oval Office, I believe, a cabinet meeting, and the press was supposed to come. However, that was abruptly canceled. There's also nothing on Trump's schedule, so we don't know. Are the pardons coming today or not? Pelosi does hold a news conference at 2 p.m. Eastern time, so maybe we'll get some more insight. But in the meantime, this is extremely frustrating. It's literally, in my opinion, they're fighting over stuff that's just, like, they're fighting over the wrong things. Instead of fighting over these dumb CARES Act programs, they should be saying, all right, fine, we'll agree to end those CARES Act programs immediately, those 5 Fed programs, which we know are worthless anyway. Just give us $1,200 stimulus checks and let's be done. That'd be nice. Congress is too stupid to figure that out, apparently. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.